Well, the Nick Luck Daily podcast goes on tour, and in glorious Technicolor for the first time, I found myself at Naunton Downs, the home of Ben Pauling and his burgeoning and successful stable. We're here in a very lavishly appointed owner's room. Ben, Willoughby Court was your first taste of Cheltenham Festival success. When that happened, when he passed the post, and after the euphoria and the famous scenes of you hopping over the rail and going completely doolally, how did you think the next few years would pan out?
You look back at it now, and actually, previous to Willoughby, we'd had Barters who'd won a Grade 1 the year before, and these Grade 1s, they sort of seemed to come along quite regularly, and it was all rather easy. Little did I know that that would be my last Grade 1 for 7 years, or whatever it was. And it was an incredibly special moment for many reasons. You know, I was a young local lad that went racing to Cheltenham just because I was just an avid fan of the game. But to actually win a race at the festival, for it to be a Grade 1, it was daylight today. It was beautiful sunshine, and a memory and a moment I will never forget.
Well, it's always good to know when you're heading to the festival that you've got a horse who is in form, and there's no doubt that No Questions Asked is, because he turned up and did what he needed to do. Was it last week?
Ludlow, yeah.
And he just pootled around and dispatched inferiors in style.
Yeah.
How's he moved forward from that?
So the aim was the Sydney Banks. That was our sort of aim for this season, and couldn't have been any happier, really. I think that's going to work out a very, very good race. Jax Jr., I think, is a solid yardstick of 137. They went a proper gallop. He picked up off the gallop. He went inside. Jax Jr., Calafé en Vol went outside, and he probably just didn't really have a chance to react to Calafé en Vol. I think it was a good race. I think Calafé en Vol was the right winner. He looked the first beat out of the three, but he battled on. But I do think it'll work out to be a very, very good race. And the next run at Ludlow was probably not something I was expecting to do, but all of a sudden I again thought we needed 5 runs to get into a handicap. He was a weak horse last year. He wouldn't have taken any amount of racing, and this year he's bounced out of all of it. And Elliot, who rides him every day, Elliot England, one of our conditionals, seems to think that he's in particularly good form, so we'll see how we get on.
I was lucky enough to interview your stable jockey Ben Jones on my Sunday show for Racing TV, and he had fairly little hesitation in nominating this as his best chance of a winner of the week. Whoa! And he's Henry's friend. Is that him?
He's not normally that fresh, really, but
just being a tart for the cameras.
Good to see. He is in obviously good form. He what's he done this season? The main aim was the Coral Gold Trophy, or the Gold Cup, which was the old Hennessy. Had a nice prep run over hurdles in preparation for that, and he ran a mighty race at Newbury that day. Considering he literally took probably the middle fence down the back straight with him, it really, bad mistake at the wrong time, just when they're really quickening up down the back in that sort of race. But he still only got beat, 6, 8, 10 lengths, something like that. He then went back to Newbury for the Mandarin and won it very well indeed. He's a nice horse, going the right way. He's second season chaser. His work is good. He's never been the best workhorse in the world, but he seems in fine fettle with himself, and could be an exciting runner. We like the Ultima. We've had horses run well in it before, not quite won it. Kildesart just got chinned, and this might be the one to go one better.
All right, well, I'm not sure he's necessarily my friend this morning, but he could be yours if you back him for the Ultima. He's Henry's friend. He'll have the cheek pieces on. Ben Jones thinks he's his best chance of a winner of the whole week. Well, this is Slipway, who's getting thoroughly impatient with me and wants to go back and have another pick at grass. He's clearly in fine form ahead of the cross country. Tell me a little bit about how you've decided to campaign him this season and what sort of nick he's in.
So he's a horse, he's always been an exceptional jumper, and he's got loads of ability, but he probably needs something to keep him interested. And
I can tell.
It was his early this season, it was actually Alex in Birikos, who's the daughter of his owner Valda, who suggested we might look at the cross country. So we gave him a spin round the cross country in November at Cheltenham. He ran really well, was bang there till the Aintree fence got pushed wide. Still there jumping 2 out, just didn't quite get up the hill. We then ran him a couple more times and his wind needed sorting, so we've done that. He had a spin round Kempton the other day in a novice hurdle.
And he won.
So that was a good prep. And he goes back. The ground will hopefully be in his favour. He wants a bit of better ground, and we'll see how he goes. But he took to the course really well, considering it was his first time, and sometimes they take one run to work it all out. And if he's in the same sort of form as he appears to be at the moment, then we should have a fun day out.
He seems a good character.
Yeah, he is. He's a great character. He's he's a gentle giant, really. There's not much to dislike about Slipway. He's one of the yard favourites, and hopefully he can find a big day in the sun before too long.
Well, we stripped her completely naked for a reason. This is Diva Luna, because on a beautiful day like this, she's absolutely gleaming and looks the picture of health. Is she working like she's the picture of health?
She is. This is without doubt the horse in this yard that, coming into the season, I would have said she was guaranteed a Grade 1 performer. You know, to
be fair,
she was unextended last year to win 2 proper mares, novice bumpers, both at Market Race and then particularly at Aintree. And that mares race at Aintree's worked out well. And I just thought she was guaranteed, not just to mix it with her own sex, but I thought she was good enough to take on the boys as well. And she had a real nasty little bug in the autumn, and took her at least a month, 6 weeks to get through it. And then we sort of hurried her back to Lingfield, where she got beaten by, I think, a horse that's got plenty of ability, Met Cayena. Went to Cheltenham on New Year's Day and won. And still, although she won, I still felt we were only scratching the surface. I thought she needed one more run, and I ran her on terrible ground, which was a big mistake at Sandown. She finished second. She looked good for a long way, but on that ground, all her class and speed was blunted. And I was cross with myself, but I'm not cross with myself at the moment, because at the moment it looks on her homework that she's back to what we had last year. She looks a totally different horse in the way she is, and her ability was there last year, and if she's back to her best, then she's going to be good enough to run a very big race in the Mares Novice Hurdle. We're huge fans.
Everybody spotted on this podcast when I spoke to you last week, everyone spotted the speed with which you said Diva Luna.
Yeah.
There was no hesitation. I interviewed you at Exeter, was that Exeter? Taunton Exeter somewhere, like October, Diva Luna, straight out.
Yeah. No, she's very, very talented, and she's got lots of good things. She's a brilliant jumper, and we enjoy every minute of her. We just need to get her back to her best, and if she is, which she appears to be at home, then we've got something to look forward to.
When is the moment in your life where you stopped becoming an up-and-coming trainer and realised, frankly, you would simply be judged on your results?
I don't know, really. I think for many years you're called an up-and-coming trainer. I think some people, even though we're in our 11th or 12th season, some people would still see us as part of the young brigade, but sadly we're north of 40, and I suppose realisation is that we are just making our own way forward now.
But that description, it gives you a bit of a lifeline, doesn't it? Or gives you guy ropes, because you're kind of protected by it, because you're given that license to make a few mistakes. You're not given much license now.
No, you're not, and you're exactly right. When you're a burgeoning trainer or an up-and-coming trainer, they're basically saying, look, he can produce results on the big stage, but we don't expect it of you. And I suppose now we're slowly getting to the stage where people are starting to expect decent results throughout the season, not just one or two.
Well, it's an ill wind that blows nobody any good, and an awful lot of people grumbling about the fact there's no Grade 1 over 2.5 miles, but it's now a new race. It's a brand new race as well, the Jack Richards, and it's open to all with a limited weight range at the bottom. Would that suit this horse, I wonder, Densworth? How much have you got up your sleeve, Ben, with this horse?
So this lad, he's always had loads of ability. His form is normally a 1 or a P. And the difference in that is the ground. He has to have better ground, so at the moment it's looking like it's drying up nicely.
You need another week like this, don't you?
Yeah, we've tinkered with his wind since. He's got loads of ability, he jumps well. He'd be a ride for Callum Pritchard if he runs, taking 5 off his back.
Okay.
And yeah, it'd be interesting to see. We've saved him for Aintree the last 2 years. He's turned up favourite both times pretty much, and pulled up both times, so we're giving Aintree a swerve.
Did he actually need a wind operation, or is it a kind of...
He's one of those horses that has a soft palate issue, and on that soft ground he just can't handle the, he just can't get out of his own way really, but on better ground he's a really decent performer. I'm not saying he's going to be in the 4, but I think if he runs his race, he'll be competitive to a point.
All right, Densworth for the Jack Richards then. Will it be a 1 or a P? Probably nothing in between.
All right, well, sometimes you just need horses that aren't only fit themselves, but get their trainers fit, which is exactly what Pic Roc is doing, because he ain't going to stand still for anyone, is he?
He's not going to stand still for very long, no.
Is that him then? Is he just he's always on the go?
No. This is a side to the horse that we've not seen too very often. He's a horse that's definitely sort of worked his way into a great position this season. He obviously ran well last year, winning a nice novice hurdle at Ascot, then second in the EBF, and was second in the valuable handicap on the last day of the season at Sandown. And all he ever was going to be as a chaser, and we couldn't wait to get going, and ran him at Carlisle, and he overjumped the 5th, I think, and gave himself a nasty cut. Missed 6 weeks, was half fit when we ran him at Exeter, and he got beat ahead, and then ran him very quickly at Newbury just to get the 3rd run in, so he was qualified for the 2.5 mile or the 3 mile 6 novice handicap chases at the festival. And if there's one in the yard that is in the best form he's ever been in, it's this lad. I can happily say that. Whether that's going to be good enough, I don't know, but I couldn't be happier with him. I think he's got a very progressive profile, and we're big fans.
I mean, it's always fun when you can prove that the trainer hasn't completely got the measure of his horse. Personal ambition's giving you the runaround there, Ben.
He certainly is. Look, he was a brilliant horse last year for us. He won a couple of novices and then won the Premier Handicap at Premier Novice Hurdle last weekend a year ago up at Kelso, beating Django by. Took a little while to warm to his chasing, but he's come there in good form now. He was unlucky when he made a howler at the last in the Noel, which cost him the race, and we qualified him at Windsor, which I don't think the track would have suited.
Because you needed 4 runs basically over fences to be eligible to run in an open handicap. So
and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to run him in the plate, so he's another one for the plate. He's been going up to Laura Collett's for some schooling. His jumping has, I can honestly say, is as good as it's been ever, and he's in very good form. He could just be quietly well handicapped. He's a nice horse. He's got the size and scope for chasing. He just needed that little bit of time to realise that the chasing game was 100% for him. And as you can see, he's fresh and well and wants to get on with life.
I hope. Well, of course, who's going to ride him?
Well, at this present moment in time, I'm not sure whether Ben. We'll see how they are come the day, but Ben will have the choice of this lad or Shakem Up'arry.
Oh, I don't envy him that choice.
It'll take a lot for him to get off Harry, I think. But Keelan rode him in all his races last year, so he knows the horse well and would be dying to get back on and give him the opportunity.
Yeah. You do realise you can't be quietly well handicapped. You need to be very noisily well handicapped to win these races.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I don't think we've seen the best of him this season, put it that way. But he's improving all the time, and he seems in very good form with himself. He's moving well, which is, you know, he's quite a big, rangy horse, and he's not always been the strongest mover behind, but he's in particularly good order with himself at the moment.
Does the desire intensify with each passing year, and does the feeling of winning intensify or lessen?
The desire to win at the top level gets more and more because you expect more of yourself, and you expect to be able to deliver for your owners and your team at home. And my children are now at an age where they know what's going on, so they're into it. They want to. They're great. They love it as well. But I think the feeling is just. I think it's just as good. There's no two ways about it. Watching the Jukebox Man win the Quarto Star on Boxing Day, that was the most nervous I've been for a very long time. That was, you know, training a horse to the minute for the right race and keeping him in the form he needs to be in. And I think on the big stage, because we're doing it day in, day out, no matter what level your horse is, you're trying to achieve them to peak on the right day. And so it doesn't matter whether it's Ludlow on a Tuesday or a Monday or the Cheltenham Festival, you're trying to achieve the same goal, but when it's so public, it makes it that much more rewarding, I suppose.
And no fear, no buzz, right?
Correct. There's definitely a lot more enjoyment from the ones you're worried about.
All right, Ben Pauling, I sent you a message on January the 1st, 2023, and it says, I was nearly right, except I got the wrong race and I was a year out. January the 1st, 2023, Shakem Up'arry will win the Grand Annual, I said. And you said, my thoughts exactly. Just needs some rain or we'll be off his feet early doors. I put, quite a good horse. Anyway, it took till 2024 and it wasn't the Grand Annual, but he did win at the Cheltenham Festival.
He did. It was a special day for many reasons. Firstly, he is without doubt the yard favourite. He's been with us a little while now. He's an incredibly kind character and been a good racehorse, and became, you know, last season he achieved what we always hoped he would, and he deserved it. He won on New Year's Day last year, and that was sort of the first time we'd seen him really start to find his rhythm at the level we hoped he would, and we went straight back to the plate last year. Benny was very, very good on him. He gave him a superb ride. He got him a lovely rhythm. His jumping is his asset. And he won it very impressively, really.
Do you think he just needed his mind making up for him a bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Let's
I think so. I think so. And the jumps he put in at the last two really sealed the deal for him. But he's been a fabulously consistent horse. This season's been a little bit more challenging. He went to Cheltenham December, I think, and took a fall, and he's such a brilliant jumper that when these very, very good jumpers fall, they do have a mother and father of a fall, and he pulled some muscles in his neck, and 6 weeks really to get him comfortable again. We were worried it was a bit more serious, but it wasn't. It was just some, soft tissue damage. And so we race against time really to get him to Cheltenham, and he was never going to go, and he still won't go unless he's in the best form of his life. But he went to Warwick. He came out of Warwick very well. He ran well for a long way. He was bound to need it. And last week in Lambourne, he did a really quite nice piece of work. And he's the sort of horse, he loves this weather. He loves a bit of sun on his back. He's more of a spring horse, and he could just be coming back to his best just in time. He's in the National, but he probably struggled to get in by a pound, so he'd probably end up in the Topham, which he ran in last year. But by the time he ran in the Topham last year, he'd just given his absolute everything at Cheltenham, so he's a bit flat, really.
Well, he might give his everything at Cheltenham again. In the plates, could he be a dual winner? Shakem Up'arry? I wouldn't bet against it.
I think he'll outrun his odds. We've got to look past his last run. He was very good first time out at Foss Lass. He couldn't have won any better or any easier. and the form of that race, I think 2nd, 4th and 5th have all won. And I was very sweet on him. He pulled some muscles behind, had to have a little bit of an easier time. I was always planning on running him in the Albert Bartlett trial, the River Don. And so we went there and he was too keen. He didn't jump well enough and he faded from the back of 2 out to finish 4th or 5th, I think, I can't remember. But he's a horse who I particularly like. His work is good. He's not a flash horse, he's not a speed horse, but his work is good. And I just know he's in a lot better place than he was when he went to the River Don. And the Albert Bartlett throws up some interesting results. You know, it's ironic now, but even Jukebox was 33-1 on the day last year. And this one won't be as short as that. But if this finished in the first, if it doesn't finish in the first half, I'll be amazed. And whether he's good enough to get into the places, I don't know. But he'll give his owners an exciting day. He is a horse with a lot of potential for next season over fences, and he's no back number other than his price.
Well, I mean, in any yard, you'll always have horses that are off games. Unfortunately, team captain's off games. The Jukebox Man, who was the winner of the Quarto Star at Kempton in such scintillating fashion and would have been a huge player in the Brown Advisory. Here he is, though, Ben, and he looks to be taking his recovery quite well. Is he a good patient or is he a grumpy sod?
He's actually a good patient. He pulls a lot of faces and pretends that he's grumpy, but he's for all intents and purposes, he's being a very good patient. He's not going around his box like a yo-yo, and he's taking it all in his stride.
The nature of the injury, it sounds kind of worse than it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually this lad had a condylar fracture, non-displaced condylar fracture to his cannon bone. So in effect, in layman's terms, that is his shin, just above the ankle, just a little spur off the side of the cannon bone, but it was non-displaced, so we caught it quick enough, and we were able to send him up to Newmarket, and Ian Wright put 3 or 4 screws in it, and it's gone well. It was x-rayed last week, and the healing process is going as well as we could expect, and he'll be on the walker hopefully from next week. Every cloud has a silver lining because he's obviously not going to be able to go again this season. He's got a rating of 151, which I think is quite attractive for maybe some of the better handicaps early doors next season.